Hey, what's going on, guys? So we're going to be talking about Wilson Sing's wind-up beast deck that he was playing over at YCS. He did top 8, so congratulations to him. And so let's go ahead and get started with the deck profile. And I really like this deck because it's definitely very unique, and it's something that a lot of people didn't expect to see. And then he sided into a deck, that you would you normally side out a lot of the cards for. So let's go ahead and get started. So he's playing one Ape Fighter, and the reason for Ape Fighter is because it is a dark, plus it's a beast, so it works with Horn of the Phantom Beast, and after it does destroy a monster, it does become 3,000 attack. So that is pretty good. I mean, I don't see this coming out at all. I mean, I don't think any player would expect to see this in like a top 8 deck, but I mean, it worked out for him, so props to him for running that. And we're running a Black Cloud Soldier. His dark targets were like the Tour Guide engine, which is 3 Tour Guide, Sangan, and then Ape Fighter. So I mean, it is a 1900 dark that has decent attack too. And then next up, he's playing for the lights. He's playing 3 Photon Saber Tigers, 2 Thunder Kings, and 2 Effect Failures. So I mean, there should be enough lights because Photon Saber Tiger searches out another one anyways. Next up, 2 Maxis. So I guess he was doing the 2 Maxi 2 Veiler, favoring the Insector matchup by playing 2 Veilers instead of 1 Veiler. Most common was 3 Maxi 1 Veiler, just because you don't want to get wind up looped. Then we have the 3 Photon Saber Tigers, which are pretty darn good because it is a beast, so it works with Horn of the Phantom Beast, and if one of them survives and you get to draw a card off of that, your opponent has no monsters on the field, you then already added a Photon Saber Tiger. It nets an auto +2 essentially, because then you get to summon another Photon Saber Tiger and your opponent's field is clear, and now they're both at 2,000 attack. So it seems like it's a pretty good option as long as you can get rid of your opponent's monster after you summon a Saber Tiger. Next up, we have the Sangan, the Triple Tour Guide, pretty common. It allows access for Exceeds and whatever he really needs to go into. Then we had the 2 Thunder Kings, like we talked about earlier. Thunder King just stops up a whole bunch of matchups. If you're playing heroes, usually they play e-calls and stops the Strato searches. I mean, basically all they can do is alias point for point. So yeah, I mean, Thunder King works really great against windups as well. So pretty darn good card. Plus more light targets. And then 3 Wind-Up Rabbits, which is actually a Beast Warrior. I thought he would be like a machine, I mean, looking at him. But interesting choice because he was playing Horn of the Phantom Beast, and he was able to use that really well with Wind-Up Rabbit, because when your opponent has Wind-Up Rabbit, you usually would just attack it, and then they would just remove Wind-Up Rabbits, and then they would take the hit directly. But the thing is, Horn of the Phantom Beast works with Rabbit, and that's something that you definitely don't see coming. I mean, if you summon Thunder King and they have a Rabbit on the field, they just go Horn of the Phantom Beast on their Rabbit, you lose Thunder King, they get a draw on, and now you don't have a Thunder King on the field, and that is pretty darn devastating. Plus they get that draw, and that draw on this card really does help make this card so much better, as well as being able to activate it during the damage step. Next up for the spells, we have Book of Moon, Dark Hole, 2 Forbidden Lance. I really did like this card as well. It was really good against a lot of different matchups. Then we have Heavy Storm, Monster Reborn, 2 Space Typhoon, Pot of Avarice, because I mean, you get to recycle the Photon Saber Tigers, you get to recycle the Tour Guide, so pretty darn good here. I mean, it's not really like how he's running a high monster count, but I mean, every monster gets to float for more monsters, so that was a good idea to run that. And then we see 1 Duality. I personally thought he could have run more Duality because basically the only thing he's going to special summon would be the Tour Guides. So I felt like he really could have bumped up Duality, but perhaps there's no more room in his deck. And then he did the main deck Smashing Ground, which would be good against maybe a Logia deck that goes, a Dino Rabbit player that goes into Dolka early, because there's a lot of effects in here. So I mean, if you're playing against this, you might want to make a Dolka, but he didn't have the Smashing Ground as an answer to that, as well as having Compulse there in the main deck. Well, I think Compulse is just great overall. And then he's playing 3 Fiendish Chain, 2 Horn of the Phantom Beast, the 3 Solemn Brigade, Starlight Road, and double Torrential Tribute. So it's a 41 deck. So yeah, pretty interesting. I mean, obviously the deck worked pretty well. It was definitely unique, especially the way he sided, because he sided into basically complete windups. These are the cards. These are the 4 cards that he sided in. So let's go ahead and show that off. So he basically has 4 side deck cards. The rest of the side deck is basically swapping into a completely different deck. He said he sided out the Beast engine, so he'd side out like the Ape Fighter and like the horns, and he would just go straight into like pure windups. And so that would be pretty good, because if you're looking at this deck as of right now, it's not a deck that special summons too much, and so you'd maybe take out the Maxis. You're probably keeping the Veilers, but yeah, definitely taking out the Maxis, and that essentially was what hurts windups the most, is dropping Maxi. But yeah, so his side deck was another Veiler. I think it would be good for your Insector matchup. Snowman Eater against Heroes, and Dino Rabbit would be probably the best. And we see another Space Typhoon, and then he decided to side this as well, Mischief of the Yokai. And so what he did was he said he sided against Dino Rabbits, and what it was able to do was change the level. So basically you hit 2 Saber Sources. So yeah, you can hit 2 Saber Sources or Cobblezules, and then, I mean, no Dino Rabbit player is going to run Gachi Gachi in their extra deck, so it basically forces them to die at the end of the turn. However, they can still attack, so I felt like Bottomless just would have been overall better, because Bottomless hits a lot of other things, maybe Heroes as well, plus it gets to banish them. But the thing is, Mischief of the Yokai also has another effect, so you can remove from play this card in the graveyard to select 1 face-up monster and reduce its level by 1. So I mean, technically you could use it twice to mess up the levels, and that could hurt him. So I mean, maybe he was thinking he could use it twice, essentially. But I felt like if someone goes for 2 Saber Sources, they could still attack. That's the problem, and there's still 1900 attack. So I mean, they could still poke you for basically half your life. However, in his deck, I mean, he's got Horn of the Phantom Beast. So I mean, I guess they can point for point with the Thunder King, which would kind of hurt, and it would be kind of like a minus because he's activated Mischief of the Yokai as well. But I mean, if you have Thunder King out anyways, they're not going to make Logia. They're just going to point for point the Thunder King anyways. So I really felt like Bottomless could have been a better option, but he said it worked out for him and he liked it, so props to him for showing off this new card, because I mean, I guess you could see some playing the extra deck. And then the next up, it's just the wind-up loop. He decided to put in 1 Hunter, 2 Magician, 3 Rat, 3 Shark, and 2 Wind-Up Factory. And as far as the extra deck, he had an Armory Arm, a Stars Dragon because of the Starlight Road, and then the rest were all Exceeds. So he had an Adrius, Levier, 2 number 17s. Now this card really does help in windups, just because if you get a big monster, they have kind of limited answers to it, unless you play Windup Kitten, which I think is actually a pretty good card, but I guess he just doesn't have room for it in the side, because yeah, he did kind of need to side some of these, I guess, for other matchups. Otherwise, he wouldn't really have a side deck. He would just be like siding into a completely different deck, which pretty much is what he did, and that worked out great for him. Next up, we have Giga Brilliant, Acid Golem, Utopia, Tyrus, Zenmayo, 3 of the Zenmaidi here, and the Zenmain. So yeah, that's going to be the deck profile for Wilson Sang's Wind-Up Beast deck, and it is pretty interesting, and props to him for running a completely unique deck. I mean, he did side deck into complete windups, but yeah, if you'd like to check out his channel, I'll put a link in the description, because he's a quite cool guy, and he does have a decent amount of videos for you to check out that are quite good. So thanks for watching, guys. Asian Eyes White Dragon, signing out.